Good evening and welcome to Aging with Attitude. My name is Alan Levin, and our guests this evening are Bill Sweezy, President and Publisher of All About Seniors, here it is right here, and Lynda Kuehni, she is Editor of All About Seniors. Welcome, Lynda. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
All right. Tell us a little bit about All About Seniors.
Yeah, I guess I can start. The Charlotte publication, which we currently have two, actually started in December of 2005 for Charlotte, but we actually started our first publication in the upstate of South Carolina, which started in the spring of 2005. And we formed a company. The official company is called Striped Rock.
Striped Rock?
Striped Rock, a little bit of an odd name, and there's certainly a long story behind that one. Someone that I had worked with by the name of Missy Johnson and myself kind of had I guess we just, from a conversation, went to the potential of creating something that we felt that was designed based on need. That the senior population, the aging population, and certainly the caregivers were really in desperate need of a lot more information.
Right.
And so we basically conceptually talked about it and created the company and kind of went into creating it and then publishing mode in that year. Then into the following year certainly started the Charlotte magazine.
I see. So this originated with the idea that seniors had an unmet need for certain kinds of information, written content, whatever. Where specifically did you believe those needs lay that are being fulfilled, are being met by All About Seniors?
Well, they're really throughout the whole diverse community.
Yeah, I would actually indicate that our readership is not just the seniors, but it's also the senior industry professionals, people that work within housing communities and that type of thing, and also personal and professional caregivers. So we pretty much cover the spectrum of anybody that would need comprehensive resource information. And we have over 50 categories that are all things senior related that people can grab a hold of this book, take a look through it, and it's very intentional in how it's designed as well, so that's very easy for someone to be able to, okay, I'm looking for information on assisted living. So, you know, it's user-friendly, and we cover the spectrum of who all can use the publication themselves.
And we really felt you heard a lot and more from the professional and caregiver side that either I'm trying to help mom or dad, or for this person that I'm caring for, they could find some information maybe on one subject or two. But a lot on the professional side, they needed to gather a lot more, and the family usually was dealing with more than one issue. As we know, it's all multifaceted, and you're trying to deal with 5 or 10 things at one time, whether you're taking care of dad, or it's a patient of yours, or yourself. And that need was not being met in either of the communities that we started the publications in. But as we have found, it's not just the Greater Charlotte area or it's upstate South Carolina. It's really in every city and every area in our whole country.
Right. No, that's absolutely right. I've seen this magazine around, and I've looked through it myself, and I was very, very pleased. I didn't have any particular need, but I could see how almost anything that a senior particularly might need to have information on could be found here. You mentioned 50 categories. I didn't realize there were that many, but it doesn't surprise me. So, I mean, this is really quite a valuable resource. Any idea how many people consult this? Does this come out this comes out every quarter, I think?
Actually, we're 3 times a year.
3 times a year.
So every 4 months that we publish, and there's a good percentage of new content. Certainly, a lot of editing takes place with updating listings because we're comprehensive. And that's another thing that people were not realizing too, while they're looking for information, is to make sure that they understood that they had choices out there. And you can always make a better decision, I think, if you have more choices, whether you're car shopping, clothes shopping, or food shopping, whatever you need to do, and all of a sudden shopping for care. And then also for an aging adult, you're going to make less decisions in your life, so they become more important. So we wanted to make sure that we had the right content available where they could make the best decision possible for their needs at that time.
Would you be, that kind of content that you're talking about, I'm inferring that you're talking about maybe editorial content that says things that you should think about when picking a nursing home, or these are the issues that you need to consider before hiring someone to come in and take care of Dad. Is this what you're talking about, this kind of content?
We have a lot of different content, and before each section of the book, for example, in the assisted living section, it will give a description of what assisted living is.
Okay,
and it helps people to understand, you know, this is what you're looking at, financial considerations of it, public assistance, and then we also have like a checklist of things to consider, you know, as far as the food, the staff, the activities, those types of things.
Sure.
Because again, we're trying to be as user-friendly as we can be for those that are using this resource. We also have the table of contents here kind of goes into, you know, a snapshot of everything, so it's very easy to use as well. And then we've got a user's guide to help people as well. And then within the, you know, some of the sections, we have sections where you can write notes. A lot of times people will dog your pages, make their comments on it and that type of thing. We do work in collaboration as well with Central Carolina Area Agency on Aging to make sure that the content that we have in our housing care community choice section has the highest integrity, because sometimes companies get bought, or you know, they change maybe the number of beds that they have, that type of thing, that we're making sure that the information. So each edition of the book, I meet with Hillary Kaler, who's our ombudsman, and we will go into any edits that need to take place for it. So, you know.
And we also, with this section, in what we just call them introductions into each one of the sections, and things to kind of help you navigate through making those decisions and the questions to ask. We do have articles, a set number of articles for in each edition too. And it could be anything from healthy eating to some of the changes in Medicare. I mean, we could come up with 50 subjects so quickly. It could be something on dental care, which we just recently had. Kind of an array. I mean, there's never enough, I don't think, content or enough reading you could do to help prepare yourself for making some pretty important decisions in your life.
Yeah, and with the articles, they're all either going to be advocacy in nature or educational in nature. So.
Let me ask you something. Suppose you found out that XYZ nursing home was not being well run, that people were being victimized, people were being abused, and it was a bad place. Would you drop that name? Would you drop XYZ nursing home from your listing of homes on the basis of information like that?
Yeah, it's not really our job to police, other than their licensing. There's a lot of government regulations and laws that they have to adhere to properly take care of their older adults. We do get calls from time to time. We get a lot of calls of people in distress, people needing help. But we would refer them back to the Central Carolina Area Agency on Aging, the Ombudsman program that help govern them. And so we would send them to the right place, but we want to make sure we're comprehensive. If they're properly licensed and they're qualified to be in that section, we'll continue to have them there. But it does put us in a little bit of a difficult situation. Sometimes we know too much.
Kind of tricky.
It is. It is, and we want to make sure that we answer that properly, and we know where they can go to get help. And that's where the agency is there to help them, and it's a tremendous service for our population. And there's a lot of those things going on with older adults. We know the abuse of older adults and a lot of ways that they have that govern, certainly, but keeping an eye on that individual senior each day is difficult.
And then also referring them also to the Better Business Bureau as well, which we're also, in collaboration with them. Because, again, we're trying to be the most comprehensive resource available in our community for that. We don't police the activities. However, we're able to, give them other resources to, and we, typically recommend that if they're looking for a housing care community choice, for example, to look at 3 or 4 different places, to go tour, find out, are the people happy there, that type of thing, are they comfortable with the environment, etc. And then, I'll refer them to the Central Carolina Area Agency on Aging for more additional information as well.
And always taste the food. Food's so important, at least for me.
So...
Just a thought that just popped into my head. Have you ever thought of making, distributing this in audio tape form for people who are visually disabled?
Yeah, you know, I know we've actually talked about a Braille copy at some point, came up several years ago. But we have not discussed it in doing it in audio for the hearing impaired. But you know, another idea, part of creating the directory, which was so important from when Missy and I had started the business, was to get feedback. And it's something that Lynda continues to do, and our staff, that we always want to hear back from people because we want to be comprehensive and complete. So giving us more ideas of things that we could implement to make it better. So that certainly would be something else that could be considered.
I understand.
We're always looking for ways to improve this. And if it's a situation where there's a section that needs to be included, we will include it. You know, as you know, and because of the feedback that we get from others, we're usually, you know, people are very excited about how comprehensive we are, how easy we are to use, to navigate through the book and that type of thing, and always looking for ways that we can continue to make this better. So
that's great. That's great.
Yeah, it's.
But that's a great idea. As well.
It'd be interesting to have to look into that and to know that you're involved in that some too. With the channel here in reading the newspaper, so I don't know. We'd have to certainly look into it.
And the material you submitted to us, you mentioned something about community partners. Well, what's that about?
We are very engaged in our community, and we do a lot of outreach. On top of being the editor and market director for the publication, serve on several different committees, very involved and engaged in our community for Alzheimer's Association, Parkinson's Association, working with Just One Call, the North Carolina Community Resource Connection. There's lots of different collaborations that we work with within our community, and we recognize the fact that there's definitely a need for that as well, and that helps us to get the word out about the publication, helps people to understand that our heart is really in the right place as far as the passion to help seniors and those in our community that have a need. So
okay, sounds good.
And they embrace the utilization of the directory too, with everything they do, and we give them a platform to create more visibility for them in the community too, which they need. So it's definitely a give and take. We found that it's important. That's what it's about, and it helps them and helps us do a better job of reaching out in the community. So it's nothing like creating partnerships.
No, it's a very valuable thing to do, to link up, because there are many agencies in this area that serve the aging population, each of them doing a different part of the job. And so it's good that you're all linked up, and that's great. I see all about seniors in quite a large number of places. I don't think I was in Domino's Pizza last night picking up a pizza. I didn't remember seeing it there. But I've seen it, I guess, in doctors' offices. Where do you distribute it?
We have over 1,400 distribution points.
Wow.
And no lack of people calling and asking for more copies of the book. The 1,400 distribution points include very intentional distribution points. And with that, you're not going to find us at a local Harris Teeter at this point in time, because we're basically where people are going to have a need for this type of information. So the doctor's offices, specialty doctor's offices, the hospitals, the senior centers, the welcome centers. As you're going between North and South Carolina, you can pick up a copy there. Chamber of Commerce offices as well. So all of our clients have copies of the publication as well. So just about anywhere that you can think of that you would have, a need, most often, like if somebody's waiting in the doctor's office and say it's a personal caregiver and, they're back there with the doctor and their loved one is back there and they're waiting in the waiting room maybe And, someone asked me before, it's like, why in the world is this publication in a pediatrics office? Well, think about that, because you've got the baby boomer who's sitting there and she's got her child, but she's also caring for her parent or grandparent and such. And she's looking through and she's like, oh my goodness, this is elder law section. I need some information about what we need to do for advanced directives and such. And so those are the types of places that you'll find the publications.
It occurs to me that when people have a problem, whether it's dad or something else, they're carrying that problem with them all day long, whether they're in the doctor's office or they're in Harris Teeter or they're in CVS or some other place or even in the movies. And I'm wondering if you don't unjustly limit yourself by limiting it to places where you think the problem logically comes up, because psychologically, I've got that problem with me all day long. I'm worried about it everywhere I go. I'm worried when I'm driving. It's on my mind everywhere.
Yeah, usually what happens, and we've, I've been in the industry for, actually, this is my 20th year, which is interesting to think about. But looking at the majority of things when action is taken, in most cases it's reactive versus proactive. And we certainly all want to be proactive in our lives. But the truth of it is the majority, or a very high percentage, if it's all reactive based, because until you had an issue that's maybe a gastro issue that you had to go see the gastro, and you're with your daughters taking you there to the doctor's office, and while you're doing that you're discussing other issues, the publication is there.
Oh, I see.
Or the doctor is working with you and there's a case manager or a social worker that's worked with a family, they're dealing with other issues, and the social worker is giving the publication to the family member or to the senior. And that's we found that instead of it just being picked up because you happen to pass by it somewhere, you're usually picking up because it's a need. And that's probably about 70 to 80% of the time. And so we found with the press runs that we're doing, we want to try to put it in the most viable places where it's utilized. And we feel kind of not doing the retail as much, where we stay and just go. And that's why we have the high volume of locations. It's interesting that our circulation too, we don't hire any circulation companies. We only hire direct contractors that work for the company, and we only have seniors that actually deliver our publications. They call themselves other than us. They call themselves retired, but they really work pretty full time.
Right.
So it's like you can call yourself retired, but you're still getting a paycheck, every month or every couple of weeks. And they do an excellent job in making sure the publication is visible and it's there and it's where we ask them to put it, which is extremely important in our business. But it's a little different take on a free publication circulation, but it's specialized as we are too.
So I may have the problem with me all day long, but it's only in certain places where the need to take action becomes dominant, and I will reach for something like this. Gotta do something about this, because it's the doctor's office or the lawyer's office or somebody else's office,
or it's the hospital and the family's meeting with the social worker because we're getting ready to get out of the hospital. And we're going to assisted living. We're going to get home care. We need home health. Who do we call, and where they're getting the publication from the social worker? And that's why, once again, that we make sure that we're comprehensive, so that patient has a right to choice, and every choice is in the publication for them to secure the type of services that they're going to need. And again, it's sad that it is reaction based, but as we know and all the professionals know, it's just kind of the way life goes. I would say, but but we all want to be proactive in our lives and live, healthy and age with attitude, right?
That's right.
It's all about the attitude.
Lots of attitude.
That's right. I
more
can
attitude,
respect that.
less age.
Yes. Well, it's on one of the little badges, a button I'd gotten at one of the conferences. Actually, it was a big expo. It's just aging is a blessing, in which we all know that is, and we all want to age. It's difficult to go through all the parts of life and aging, but it is truly a blessing.
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to touch on briefly as well is, as we mentioned, that this is a complimentary publication.
Sure.
Because of that, and because of the the weight of the paper, the way that it's designed, the fact that we print 3 times a year and it's got a shelf life of 4 months plus, it's relatively expensive to put this book out. And because of our advertiser support, we're able to do this. And we also, if we could print, 1 million copies and have them everywhere in our community, we would.
Yeah.
But we're trying to be as smart about it as we can be.
Sure.
To touch on the distribution places that we are and such. And we're very grateful for our advertisers as well, because we wouldn't be able to print and have this quality of a publication out in our community as well. So
quality was important too. I've published a lot of different types of publications, but we want it to last. A lot of the professionals, and there's a lot of comments about that, they always want to get the newest edition because there's a lot of changes, there's a lot of new content, there's new articles, but they've all marked in their copies and they have all their contact lists, and it's kind of hard to get it out of their hand because they want to hold on to their last edition. And you'll find that they have a library of every single edition that they keep in their office or in their car with them. Which is really talks to the value and the strength of the readership, which is important to us.
Oh yeah, there's one social worker that works for one of the larger hospital systems, and she'll mark her name on it and like dust copy, do not remove, and that kind of thing. So if you happen to walk by and to make sure that that's her copy of the book. And a lot of times the senior industry professionals, someone that's maybe in marketing for one of the housing care community choices, they'll have a couple of different copies, one for their office and then one for their car, so that they can always have access to it. And if they need someone's phone number or whatever, we've got an easy to read advertisers index back here that you can pull the information, have a phone number, and just very easy to use. So
one of the things that has struck me as being very important for seniors in the 4 or 5 years or so I've been doing this program and talking to people who serve the aging population, one of the things that I think is so important is socialization, the need for contact with other people. And I'm wondering if there's any way, I'm not talking about printing personals, a beautiful widow seeks, whatever, but some way, some kind of system where All About Seniors could be used by seniors to make contact with other seniors who are looking for contact. Any thoughts about that?
There is, and I totally agree with you. I think socialization, it makes people thrive when they interact with others, and where I'm very much supportive of the aging in place and staying at home. And they can get great care at home, but the socialization is what they miss. If you've been involved in the Meals on Wheels, one of the Meals on Wheels programs, and it's what we would classify as a shut-in senior that maybe cannot transport themselves, nor do they drive anymore, and they are really stuck at home alone most of the time. And what do they look forward to the most that day? And that is that person that's delivering that meal, where they have to deliver 30 meals, but they want them to come spend the 2 hours with them and probably sit down and have lunch if they could. So I certainly believe and support that is important. We have, talking about the different sections where we have an event section in the front of the publication that talks about all types of events. Some are professional oriented, some are certainly for all types of seniors and aging older adults. And then in the back where we have another section that's that has all the senior resources, senior centers. I mean, senior centers, there's not a better place to engage with older adults, and they really can provide that connection for socialization because all they do is programs for seniors all day, every day, pretty much 7 days a week. So we want to connect them to that, and that's why another one of the sections that's being comprehensive that we do include that in the publication.
So you are covered to some extent.
We're not doing the personal ad type situation, but the opportunity to go to the Shepherd Center or the senior centers.
Places and times where you can go.
And then the Actors Theater, for example, if you want to get together with a group and,
Okay, so you basically, you've got that base covered.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was actually approached when we first got in the industry, which was kind of funny, to start a senior dating site, which was
really?
before all the dating sites were out.
Right.
Someone had some software, but I neglected to. I decided to stay out of that business, and I would stick to the publishing business that I knew a little better,
right.
And would do okay. But those types of things have become extremely popular and used a lot. Certainly, if you're web savvy.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I would imagine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It would be. Yeah, I was thinking about that. That could be very funny. Matter of fact, that could be a very funny movie.
Oh, sure.
The idea of like a senior dating site.
Yeah, they have them out there. I mean, there's the virtual dating world has really become pretty prominent in our society, which was very surprising to me, actually. But I don't know if anything surprises me these days.
I was watching a skit done by the comedian Robert Klein. And he was talking about seeing some old rock band that had been around for about 30 years. And he went to see them, I guess, fairly recently. And their same fans are still there, only now they're 30 years older than they used to be. And he said, and they're still using drugs, but the drugs have changed. The people are whispering, hey, anybody got any Lipitor?
Yeah, not as much behind the counter or behind the barn somewhere, but it's over the counter and more necessary.
Yeah.
I got a kick out of that
one. For the chronic illness,
Right.
That's another whole world. At least they still have the followers. I mean, just recently seeing the Beach Boys back together,
That's right.
where you wondered if a few of them were still around, but they're still very...
guy down there, he's got some statin drugs.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Now, is there anything that we failed to cover in this half hour?
Well, I know there was a couple of the things with certainly contacting us, which I know you'll have up, but we are web based too.
Right.
We have the allaboutSeniors.org website.
Right.
If someone, as we get a lot of calls, if there's not multiple copies left in a doctor's office, one of the greatest things about older adults is they will not take the last copy. So they'll write down the phone number or they'll go to the website and they'll give us a call to get a free copy, and we can mail a free copy to them.
Got to stop you right there, Bill. I'm so sorry. We've run out of time.
Well, there you go.
It goes by quickly.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you for coming. You've been listening to Aging with Attitude. Our guests this evening have been Bill Sweezy and Lynda Kuehni of All About Seniors. This program airs the second and third Saturday evening of the month at 8:30. I'm Alan Levin, and you take care of yourself.